What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin. This video, I want to talk about the NBA. We already talked about the trades. People have done multiple videos, obviously talking about LeBron James and what it means going to Cleveland, Miami with Chris Bosh resigning. Dwayne Wade still has to resign, and all the other things, along with pretty much anything else that happened with Melo or anybody else. But what I want to talk about in this video was will will Cleveland become is Cleveland instantly the favorites in the East, or if you say will they be competitive? Obviously they will, but how competitive you think? Do I think they'll be? That's pretty much what I want to talk about in this video, and also Miami situation where they stay competitive without LeBron James, and who else is on their radar in terms of obviously coming to the team or coming back, because they had a lot of free agents. I'm pretty much just gonna give off the current team's rosters. Obviously, this is subject to change. There's still a lot of time, a lot of things that that needs to happen for before the preseason and everything else starts. So it's still a lot of moves. So these rosters obviously won't be concrete. As we well know, I want to say the other day, because it is 2:45 in the morning. The other day, LeBron James decided to go back to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The team he was drafted to in 2003, and it's his home state. He's from Akron, so he has a huge tie to this, to this team, to the state. He has a lot of friends there, so it was kind of understandable why he went back. Obviously, won the damn team, because the Cleveland team isn't that much better than the Heat team. The Heat team had a lot of, they were older, but they had a lot of guys who've been there. Guys who have been to the deep into the playoffs. They've been to the finals. They only had a lot of experience on that Heat team. And he go to a Cleveland team and have a whole bunch of young guys. I mean, they got a couple second year guys, rookie. I think their oldest player is Anderson Varejao, who was a guy that LeBron James played with 4 years ago. So pretty much he's the only guy that's pretty much been there for Cleveland since LeBron has left. Everybody else is pretty much disbanded. Dude, what I think about will they be competitive? Of course they'll be competitive, but as I said, they don't have that much experience, so it's gonna be a lot of growing pains. Much more so than when LeBron first joined the Heat, and the talent was just over the top in a weaker Eastern Conference, that they were able to overcome some of the problems that they had with just pure talent. It's not so much with this Cleveland team. They got talent. They got Kyrie Irving. He got a lot of unproven guys. Tristan Thompson, Deion Waiters, who shows his flashes, Wiggins, Andrew Wiggins, who was a guy they drafted. Still, obviously the jury's still out. He hasn't played in the NBA game yet. Yeah, he's playing in the summer league, but he hasn't played an NBA game, so we really won't know anything about him. Anderson Varejao, not exactly the same player he was 4 years ago. And really when it came to him, he was more so a hustle guy. Defended well and rebounded well. And then you get onto the bench. Let me just name a few guys that second year player Anthony Bennett, Matthew Dellavedova, Carrick Felix, Joe Harris, Dwight Powell. I mean, obviously, it's still something that's subject to change with the roster. They're still trying to get a Kevin Love, and they're trying to bring in Ray Allen, Mike Miller. LeBron trying to bring in some guys who he knows can really space the floor. But as it currently constitutes his team, they have a lot of young talent, but they're very unproven. Kyrie Irving is a guy who stays injured, and he has a lot of holes in his game, despite what any of his fan base will tell you he has a lot of holes in his game. Defensively is a huge problem for him, and efficiency wise. Now efficiency, he did have to carry a lot of the brunt for that team. Um, Obviously with they don't have very much talent on the roster. From top, on the bench, so he had to do a lot for the team. He's gonna have to do less, so I expect that percentage to go up. But defensively, there's no excuse for bad defense. I don't give a damn if your team is not that talented. You can still show a lot of effort on defense, and he really hasn't been that good on defense. So the jury's still out on the whole Cleveland team. They're trying to get Kevin Love. They're trying to bring in some other guys, but as it currently stands, the team's gonna be a contender just because the East isn't that great. I still think the Bulls are better, especially with getting Derrick Rose is gonna be back 100%, and they just signed Paul Gasol. So I think the Bulls are better. The Wizards, they just signed Paul Pierce, I believe today. Not a big sign. I mean, the guy's old, but the team showed a lot of improvement. They re-signed Gortat. They still got Nene. Of course, they lost Trevor Ariza. They got Bradley Beal. They still got John Wall, who's a guy who still can improve. So I think they're better from as a whole than Cleveland. Pacers, they're still trying to keep Lance Stevenson. I think they're better. Toronto, the jury's still out on Toronto. Who knows? Did they have a surprise season? Yeah, but we'll have to see, because teams are really gonna be looking out for them now that they saw that their team's actually good. So we're gonna bring our A game pretty much every time we play them. And I would definitely say the Cavaliers probably a top 5 team now, and they're not saying a lot because East isn't that good, and I mean, you still got LeBron James, you still got Kyrie Irving, who if he gets hot, he's another guy who can light it up. But LeBron James is a guy who makes his teammates better, plays both ends of the floor, and is an efficient scorer. So the guy rarely hurts his team, by the way he plays. Now on the other side, the team that he left. It's weird. The team that he left to go to Cleveland, the Miami Heat, of course, 4 straight finals, 2 straight finals victories, 2 championships. It's gonna, without seeing how the entire roster turned out, because I had the roster right here up on my computer. I don't know. They have a lot of free agents. They got Josh McRoberts, so Danny Granger, so the guys barely played, and really the Clippers didn't even care. And and then outside of that, Wade's still out there. He's probably gonna come back because they're gonna offer him something that just based on loyalty, trying to get him back in the city because he's been a guy that's been there his entire career. So I doubt he leaves. It'll be a big surprise if he does. But I doubt he leaves, so he's probably going to get a pretty big size contract. Haslam is another guy who's been there. It's another loyalty thing. They probably end up keeping him. The rest of those guys, let me see. Ray Allen's a free agent. He said he's going to come back because he was talking about retirement. Chris Anderson's a free agent. There's actually enough things has been said about this guy. Chris Anderson. Shane Battier retired. Michael Beasley probably won't be back. Chris Bosh, of course, is the highest paid player in basketball with the 5-year, $118 million contract. Mario Chalmers is another free agent. They probably bring him back. Norris Cole, I think, is a guy that's under contract. Tony Douglas is a free agent. Let's see. Justin Hamilton, I believe, is another guy who is still on contract. John Haslam's a free agent. James Jones is a free agent. Charlotte Lewis is a free agent. Shabazz Napier is the rookie that LeBron James wanted to bring in, and then he leaves. Weird. Greg Oden, this guy, fortunately, I don't think he'll ever be an effective player ever. Coming out of college, he had a lot of promise defensively, but come on, the guy has had multiple knee surgeries. He's done. And he's probably gonna accept a really small contract. He's done. Dwayne Wade, we all saw him in the finals. We all saw the huge drop off in his play in the finals. He barely played in the regular season. He had to get a lot of rest. He had to sit out games. So health is a big concern for Dwayne Wade. And that's a big reason why his value was dropped. Think about it. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, Dwayne Wade currently a free agent. He would been just as much sought out as Dwayne Wade or LeBron James. Maybe not LeBron James, but I'm sorry, Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James. Maybe not LeBron James, but he'd definitely be just as sought after as Carmelo. But seeing as I said before, the East is weak, I still think they make the playoffs. I'll give them 6 or 7 seed. Then that's pending if Wade can stay healthy. He's probably going to sit out some games, but he really can't afford to. I mean, he could afford to do that when LeBron James was there. So I don't know. And that's if they even keep the guy, and that's if what the roster's gonna look like. There's no telling what the roster's gonna look like. A lot of them guys are gonna leave. They saw LeBron James left. A lot of those guys were ring chasing anyway. I was like, shit, I can't win no more rings. Time to go. I mean, most of those guys are pretty much at the end of their career. Now they had an old team. People talk about the Spurs being old, but the Heat had an older team. It's crazy, but I think maybe they can be competitive. I heard Luol Deng was on their radar. He's gonna make them a little better, but not really. So I still think they make a playoffs, 6 or 7 seed, probably get bounced in the first round. I just don't see him making it deep into the playoffs. LeBron James was everything for that team. People don't want to say. People say, well, Wade and Bosh were there. I mean, those guys were they helped him. They had their games, and they were there to take pressure off him. But he was the engine that drove that team, especially this year in the playoffs. Maybe you could talk about in years past, when Dwayne Wade was more healthy, and he was actually pulling his weight. But recently it was LeBron James, and now that he's gone back to Cleveland, he took. he took a lot with him. He took the city's ring hopes with him, and he probably took some of those players with him as well. Some of those players that Ray Allen, James. They were inquiring about James Jones, Mike Miller, who was a player that helped them win the championship. So who knows? I could be surprised, but I seriously doubt it. I think, as I said before, I think Cleveland is definitely going to be a competitive team, but they still got a lot of young guys, no experience. You got LeBron James; he's gonna instantly make you better, but he's not gonna win the ring by himself. And we saw it this year that he can't win a ring by himself. So they're gonna have some growing pains with that team, more so than with Miami. And Miami, on the other hand, I honestly think they're done. Well, everybody knows that, but I could be surprised. I could be wrong, but that's how I see it. Playing Bosh all that money, it was just an overreaction to LeBron James leaving. But that pretty much does it. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Always ramble on at the end of the video. If you want me to talk more NBA, video games, hit me up on Twitter. About anything, with some questions. I ask some questions, and let me know what you want me to talk about in future videos. Thanks for watching. Peace.